Sup, dude? We are entering a very dark period within NBA history. Well, everyone but those fat tubs of lard over in San Antonio. This is because Victor Wembanyama is on the verge of enslaving and torturing us all. Despite the fact that it's illegal for him to drink a beer or rent a car, he is arguably already a better defender than soon-to-be four-time Defensive Player of the Year Rudy Gobert. Statistically, Wemby clears. As of April 1st, the Stifle Tower has sent back 144 shots and nabbed 42 steals. That's great and all, but Wemby has nearly 100 more blocks than him and over double his steals. Per game, that equals out to 1.3 steals and a league-leading 3.4 blocks. Within the last 15 years, the only other dude to average 3 blocks and a steal is last year's Defensive Player of the Year, 23-year-old Jaren Jackson Jr., who's tied with a few others as the youngest ever. Keep in mind, Wemby's only a few months removed from being a teenager. To be that young, providing such an elite impact is extremely rare. I know defense isn't all just blocks and steals, so nerds, let's take a look at this cool graph. The x-axis is defensive LeBron, which is a stat that measures a player's total impact on D, and the y is self-explanatory. As you can see, they both give the enemy nightmares, but what sets them apart is versatility. Rudy Gobert's an anchor down low, and so is Wemby, but Wemby has the ability to step out the paint and dance a little. This is thanks to his commitment to keeping his meat vehicle firing on all cylinders. The amount of dedication he has with maintaining his body's health has benefited him greatly. Standing at 7'5", the way he moves is completely unbelievable. He's so much smoother than anyone's ever been at his height. I'm a foot shorter than him and I can barely touch my toes. Meanwhile, he can touch his nuts to the ground like a 5'4" cheerleader. When I first saw him play before he made it to the league, I thought there was no way his skinny baguette legs wouldn't break. This was mainly because, well, common sense, but also because of the pre-draft video Jimmy made about him. If you haven't seen it, it's about how abnormally tall guys are pretty much guaranteed to have a career filled with injuries. There just aren't many guys in the NBA who are weirdly tall and super good. Off the top of my head, I think it's just the alien, Rudy Gobert, and Tingus Pingus. Rudy's been able to avoid the injury bug, but Tingus has been plagued with injuries his whole career. Because Wemby's a few inches taller than them both, and he had all this crazy talent, he seemed too good to be true. While it's not guaranteed he'll always avoid injury as well as he did this year, my opinion on his health changed, because there was one thing I forgot to take into account. He's not human. After I realized this, I curled up into the fetal position, contemplating why I chose the Hawks and not one of the teams that gets a good script. If Wemby continues to avoid the injury bug, the next 2 decades are going to be rough. But it's okay, because Prize Picks will make us all feel a little bit better. Prize Picks is a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game. It adds a ton of excitement to watching NBA games. How it works is you pick 2 to 6 players and then pick more or less for their Prize Picks projection. I've been using Prize Picks for a while now and it's been a lot of fun. I've been winning a bunch recently thanks to Jokic, the Hawks, and Goblins. Goblins make the payout less, but they're easier to win. If you want to try it out, go click the link in my description and sign up for Prize Picks using code NBAGoober for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Anywho, with Wet Banana's versatility combined with everything else, individually, I think he's a better defender than Gobert. But I bet my left ball he doesn't win Defensive Player of the Year. This is for 2 main reasons. First of all, he's 20. The youngest players to ever win the award were Dwight, Jaren Jackson, Kawhi, and Alvin Robertson, all at 23. Along with being too young, Gobert anchors the best defense in the league while Wemby plays with a bunch of goobers. Still, having a strong argument for being the best defender in the league as a rookie is unheard of. The only 2 guys I can think of who are as talented on D right away are Tim Duncan and David Robinson. During the Big Fundamentals rookie year, he came in 5th for Defensive Player of the Year and made the All-Defensive Second Team, while the Admiral averaged nearly 4 blocks and made the All-Defensive Second Team as well. Like those 2, Wemby's put up insane defensive stats and will probably make the All-Defensive Second Team, which, when you take into account the fact that he's also a freaky talented offensive unicorn, it begs the question of whether or not he's the greatest rookie of all time. It's a tough question to answer though, because as a rookie, Wilt won MVP, putting up a nonchalant 38 points and 27 rebounds. Then there was the Big O, who fucked around and almost averaged a triple-double. Can't forget Kareem either, who had a stat line of 29, 15, and 4 while adding 30 wins to the Bucks record. But as we all know, the 60s and 70s were a weird time. The game was much different and stats were a little crazy, so it's hard to compare Wemby to them. Though, if we just look at rookies since the 80s, I'd say he has a very strong case. Since 1980, there's been a handful of rookies who've put the league in a chokehold. The first 2 were the NBA's saviors, HIV and the Hick. These 2 dudes came into the league the same year and both were elite right away. The Hick won Rookie of the Year and came in 4th for MVP, averaging a super efficient finishing 21-10 along with nearly 2 steals, all while leading Boston to over 60 wins. Meanwhile, Magic came in second for Rookie of the Year, putting up 18, 8, 7 and over 2 steals, but he got the last laugh winning a ring. Along with them, Michael Jordan, David Robinson, Shaq, and Tim Duncan all had ridiculous rookie years. Mike averaged damn near a 30 ball, David Robinson made the Spurs go from a 21-win team to a 56-win team, Shaq was unstoppable, and Timmy D was an All-NBA first-team member. Comparing Wemby's rookie year to all of theirs, I think it's not crazy at all to say he's on the same level. But there are way too many things to take into account for me to say he's the best. The fact that we are witnessing a dude on the same level as the NBA's greatest players ever is crazy. What's even crazier is there's another one of these fuckers. He has like no highlights though, so enjoy whatever I put on in the background. Standing 6'8" at just 17 years old, Victor's brother Oscar has been getting a lot of buzz. He's already won a national title in France despite being just 2 years into playing basketball. Although he's strangely tall with a family full of ballers, the dude didn't hoop much growing up. This was because he and his buddies spent most of their time together handballing. That sounds like they were doing gay stuff, but it's actually a sport. Handball was his main passion up until he got bored during the pandemic and decided to give basketball a shot. Smart guy, going pro in handball is dope, but it's like being a professional lacrosse player. Nobody really gives a shit and they get paid a McDonald's-esque salary. If he gets to the NBA, he'll be rich and get tons of puss. But as an NBA player, he'll be a lot more likely to beat his girlfriend. Nevertheless, since starting his basketball journey, he has become a lot like his brother in the sense that he doesn't let his height affect his game. A big, or rather little white inspiration of his is the super flashy, creative 6'1" guard Jason Williams. This is terrible news, because if Oscar gets to the NBA and hits an elbow pass, I'll go skydiving without a parachute. Kidding, if he's on the Hawks I won't. As of right now, we're in the dark with his potential, cause as I mentioned earlier, he has no highlights, but I did find his stats from the Adidas Next Generation tournament. This year he played a grand total of 9 minutes and kinda just ran around out there I guess, but last year he nearly averaged 2 steals. I guess having good D is just in the Wembanyama's genetics. Pause. Although currently Oscar is living in his brother's shadow, it doesn't bother him. He said his goal is to not do exactly like Victor and instead write his own story, one that is as beautiful as possible. Do the Wembanyamas have a ghostwriter or something? How do they come up with these fire quotes? Every time Victor speaks it's a bar, and every time he plays it's history. The stat lines this fella puts up nightly are absurd. Within the last couple months he's dropped 40 and 20, had a near quadruple double in a 10-block game. The guy is already top 20 on the Spurs all-time blocks list and has more blocks than 86% of NBA history. He will soon also do to the 5x5 what Westbrook did to the triple-double. We are witnessing a top 3 player in NBA history level of talent. What sucks about being a healthy human being and not a resident of San Antonio is this should be his worst season ever. He's only gonna get better, so all 29 other NBA fan bases get to look forward to that. And as I briefly mentioned earlier, he's not just an elite defender. Offensively, the sky's the limit for him. He's 7'5", very comfortable handling the rock, and doesn't limit himself to just big man moves. One really impressive part of his bag is his pull-up 3. Statistically, he's the best rookie in the league when it comes to that shot. Just a couple weeks ago, he started a game off by pulling up from half court and drilling it. When I saw that, I swiped out of Instagram and stared at a wall for a couple of minutes. My brain couldn't comprehend it. The good news is he does have a few weaknesses. As of right now, he sucks at catch and shoot threes, pretty much all mid-range shots, and he's a turnover machine. Bad news is, that's pretty much it. He grew up across the pond, so he's very unselfish, and he's 7'5", so scoring in the paint is light work for him. He has the potential to turn into the most perfect basketball player to ever exist. I see a lot of similarities with him and the god of basketball. Scary times are ahead. Back in the 90s, someone like Wemby was a fairy tale, but there were many dudes who made waves like him. One was Stephon Marbury, aka Starbury. He's arguably the greatest point guard to ever come out of New York, and he has a pretty cool story. You can click here to watch the video I made on him. Thanks for watching this one. Hope you enjoyed. Bye, dude.